Welcome to the Land Cave. We're living as nerds. I'm Patrick, joined by Owen.
Hi.
Yeah, it's a special Valentine's Day episode, which just means that we're just gonna have flowers in the background. But you can pretend that we're
Patrick, that I
yeah. Oh, I heart you too. Got a bromance going on here. You guys know it. Yeah. Hope you're having a great Valentine's Day Eve or Valentine's Day if you're listening to our podcast or watching our YouTube video, but live Valentine's Day Eve on Facebook. So what you been up to, man? We didn't get to hang out last week, so it's kind of sad.
I know. I'm sorry about that. Life gets in the way.
Yeah, it happens.
Spouses work. You watch your kid.
It's partnership, man. It's partnership.
I know, and I really appreciate that flexibility. I like February in Texas, not because of the rain. I'm a little tired of the rain, but because it's a rare time where you get to wear your beanie. You'd think that you'd get to wear your beanie in December, but there was one cold day in December. Yeah. But it's been a flat 40 degrees or lower here in the great state of Texas all week, so it's been beanie weather, which is nice. And that means it's also nice to play a little Horizon Zero Dawn, which I finished. You can see my review on facebook.com/TheLanCave, or if you follow me on the GG app, which I use for the game tracking and review writing. Hopefully you guys like that. But I don't know if you've checked out the reviews yet, Patrick, but I have a little format going. I don't know if you like that format, but I say the bad, the good, and I just give little blurbs.
Yeah, I'm liking it. I didn't see this review yet, but I do like the format. This is a game that if I feel bad about not finishing a game or hardly putting in the hours to a game, it would be this. So many other games came out that I really need to get back to it. It's so pretty. You were saying the lore was really good too, as you get deep in.
That's what made me feel absolutely terrible was I barely remembered anything in this game, and then I got to the point where I finally hit a spot where I was like, oh, I remember this happening, and I remember kind of stopping around here. And it was right before the past lore of the game gets really good. So there's a current lore of what's going on in the world as it is right now, and then there's a past lore of what happened to get the world up to this point. The current lore is okay, but the past lore is so good. The story about how the world wound up this way is awesome. So I definitely suggest you're probably gonna have to restart it at this point, but that's okay. I am. And then I can't say it enough. The combat with the machines is awesome, and the combat with humans is not awesome. But the human stuff is few and far between, so it isn't a big deal. You can read the rest of my review if you want to check it out, though. But I did just finish it. I haven't gotten to the DLC yet. I would say if you skipped it, or if you dropped it like me for Breath of the Wild, it's only $19.99 on PSN right now, and I saw it on Amazon for $12. I would get it for sure. And then for you PC players, if you don't have a PS4, it is going to come to PC I think sometime this year. So it's something to look out for. It is on the recommended. I gave it the GG app does 5 stars, but it allows you to do half star, so it's a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay.
I took off 0.5 for a few clunky things about what I don't like about the density of the map, and that I don't like the human combat, but whatever. At that point, I'm just being nitpicky. It wasn't quite enough to be a 5, but it was still really good enough to where I felt bad that Breath of the Wild came out that week.
Yeah, and that's what tore me away from it. I was playing Breath of the Wild. Whitney played Horizon Zero Dawn, and she really liked it. And then I think she got close to beating it, but I didn't dive into it very much. It's a gorgeous game, and I need to dive in and play it. And the humans were an afterthought. I mean, this entire thing, it was all about, can we get animatronic dinosaurs? Can we get robot dinosaurs? And yes, we can.
They can.
So good.
Yes, we can. Obama says.
So I've been playing more Metal Gear, but I'm picking up Baldur's Gate tomorrow for Switch because I'm excited about Baldur's Gate 3.
Is that out?
Baldur's Gate on Switch?
Yeah.
Or Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 enhanced are on Switch. Baldur's Gate 3 is not. Yes. Yeah, so I'm
Carry on.
going to pick it up, and knowing that I would probably sink a lot of time into it, but I decided instead of getting it on PC, I figured I'd grab it on Switch instead. GameStop for some reason had it for $28.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's a
so
good
I
price.
don't understand that, but I will say
for a new Switch release, that's
for a
great.
new Switch release, $28. I'm picking it up tomorrow. I could have picked it up today, but like I went to GameStop because I saw it so low priced online. And my local GameStop did not have it, so I should have just I should have just been on the app or on the web page and instead said buy in store, and then I would have seen that it wasn't coming to my store. But essentially, I want to dive into it because it's a game that I didn't get into. I didn't. I mean, I know of it, but I've not played it.
You can just skip one. I mean,
Okay.
one is a great game, but like if I don't remember if the enhanced edition comes with 1 and 2 packaged together.
It does.
If it does, cool. But 2, it's kind of one of those things where it was like kind of like a Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 situation, where like Diablo 1 was fun, it's good, it's solid, and then Diablo 2 was awesome.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 1 was fun, it's solid. And then Baldur's Gate 2 is amazing. It's really like the D&D system. Like you really see the D&D system come to life,
and that's what I'm excited about. Like,
so
and
it's been forever since I played it. But
yeah, so that's why I'm excited about it, because Baldur's Gate 3 coming out, and I'm like, you know what, I want to dive into this. I'm playing D&D. I want to dive in some more D&D. Like, and I'm hopeful that on a similar, different note but similar note, I am still waiting for that Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering MMO.
that's what they announced about a month, like what, 2 months ago?
Yes, yeah. They said that they said they're having a beta. I didn't get any notification on it. I haven't seen anybody playing it, so I'm assuming that got delayed. It's either that or hardly anybody's playing it, and it makes me sad. But I like me some Magic. I like obviously Dungeons and Dragons sitting in the background over here. But I just thought I'd have to dive into some Baldur's Gate and jump into that for a little bit before. What's our next big game? Final Fantasy VII got delayed a little bit, so what's the next big one?
Let me pull up my list here.
Yeah, because Final Fantasy VII was delayed. I know Cyberpunk was delayed as well.
I still have Final Fantasy being my next big game.
We got some time.
There's some other stuff that's come out. Like I really want to play Kentucky Route Zero, which I have not picked up yet. I have a list going that you can also see on the GG app of just my backlog, and I decided once Final Fantasy VII got delayed, I was like, all right, I'm gonna spend some time. I'm gonna play some games that have been sitting on my PlayStation and my Switch for quite a while. So I went through and I played some Battlefront 2 again. I went and beat Sea of Solitude, which I mentioned on the show, and now Horizon. And it's kind of like, what do I move on to next? I have a solid month and a half. What did Final Fantasy VII get moved to? It's April, right?
It's April. I want to say it's late April because it got delayed. But I'm excited about it. But speaking of backlogs, as you're looking that up, I would like to say that we got some recent, I wouldn't say rumors, but we had Ubisoft and some of the developers saying the consoles are getting even more backwards compatible than we thought. Than has been confirmed, I should say. Which I think this aligns with what we've been talking about when it comes to the rumors of the consoles being backwards compatible to multiple generations. And it's going to be amazing to me if they all are. It's going to be amazing. Sorry, did you find the date?
April 10th.
April 10th. That's fine. Yeah.
So I put this in here, even though it's a rumor. So that means, that's all we have to go on right now with PS5 and Xbox Series X. They're being very delayed with the info. So this was during, I think, the Ubisoft earnings call, and they mentioned that the chances of Ubisoft's back catalog being available, implying that there's going to be a lot of backwards compatibility. It may not be complete, but that at least says something maybe about the big companies. Like maybe even if they can't do full backwards compatibility, because even Xbox One can't do that with its previous titles, maybe they get the companies like Ubi and EA and etc. and like can get them on board with backwards compatibility. It's like, hey, you should make your libraries readily available, or at least use your app, because Ubisoft is another one of those companies that came out with their service that allows you to play those games. But like you, that's exciting to know that they're trying to push it beyond just this gen. Xbox has already been doing that. Sony was like, we don't care because we know you don't actually care, which is the truth. But we can care a little bit. We care just a little bit. You know, if I could play like some old PSX JRPGs on there,
that'd be cool.
Or if they could make PS1 classics like they already have available on PS3, or just let me play Crisis Core. Really, that's the only thing I actually want to play. Is I want to play Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII like right now.
I want to play some Resistance. I want to play, honestly, I want to play some PS3 games and some PS2. And the convenience of being able to play it all in one console is going to be spectacular if that's the direction that we're moving. You know, we've talked about the future of not having a console, like actually just streaming off your TV. I'm contemplating being able to have a rig or you know, basically all of my consoles in another room or in a closet, so that way they're not on the entertainment center, just to declutter. But even then, I've seen issues. I've heard about issues when it comes to lag. So it's fine for DVDs or for, you know, Blu-rays or whatever. Not so much for gaming.
That reminds me. There was a story that came out just yesterday, and I forgot to put it in today. But just since you mentioned the streaming from the closet. Xbox xCloud has started their beta test for iOS. Signups are supposedly available. I tried to get the website to work for me to sign up, but it wasn't presenting the thing to like put in my email and stuff, so they may already be closed. But before, what was available on Android is the Xbox streaming service, which is similar to what PlayStation's been doing, where you can stream PS4 to your phone. And it actually works pretty well. I played some Horizon on my phone while Cassie was playing on the Switch the other day.
That's cool.
This is xCloud specifically, so not Xbox streaming. So they are only going to be having one game available for the beta test right now, and that is the Master Chief Collection. I believe they said something like 10,000. They said it will get expanded over time. But for now, 10,000. So obviously that went like quick. Like
and
it was
2 minutes.
Yeah, because I only heard about it this morning, and that was from somebody who's pretty like in the know, and he was like, "Dang, I missed it." And so I'm like, if you didn't know, I'm not gonna feel so bad that I didn't know. But this is what I've been wanting. I've been wanting them to make the jump to iOS so that we can get an idea. I think. No offense to the Android users, I know you use Android now. I honestly think that iOS is a better platform for something like xCloud, only because the iOS software and iOS devices, the ecosystem is better and easier to get updates across for, as opposed to Android phones where you really have to like worry about all the different hardware. I think it's a lot simpler. I don't know if you have any similar thoughts on that. I hate saying that.
No, dude.
Android people are not going to like that, but...
No, I think
it's a good play.
No, I'm eye to eye with you. The only reason I have an Android is it's a Pixel. It's Pixel 3 Pro, whatever. I really like it. Sometimes I'm like, I wouldn't mind going to an iPhone. Like a lot of times when I'm hanging out with people here, or sometimes we're at like different events, and someone hands me a phone to take some pictures for them or whatever, you know, charity events or whatever that we're doing, and I kind of miss having an iPhone sometimes. It's obviously a different layout, but the only reason that I went with this is because I knew Pixel, they're going to get whatever the latest and greatest is. It's Google's flagship model. No, but you're 100%.
I always got to.
Yeah. So I'm 100% on board with you, because that is one of the, you know, especially with my work and other devs that I've seen. I'm not a developer, but I see a lot of the back end of what happens to optimize software for different devices. I rarely have issues when it comes to our software or other softwares on different iOS platforms. Android, it's like, okay, well, we have a problem on Android phones. So what kind do you have? Well, it's the 6-year-old Android phone, or it's this really cheap Android phone. They're not going to optimize for that device. In regards to the OS, So you have a problem. So obviously the software, if the OS is going to have a problem, the software is going to have a problem as well. So no, I'm completely eye with you on that. I know I've kind of gone really into Android
Sure.
with a Chromebook and everything, but I've contemplated going back to an iPhone in the future, because the advancements are just great and the ecosystem is fantastic. I loved it.
Honestly, I kind of, at some point, if I get another laptop in the future, because I just don't use my laptop enough. I use my iPad, and I barely use my iPad. I really use my phone. If I started using something, I would probably get a Chromebook. Or if like I was going to get my son a computer to start, I would probably get him a Chromebook to start, because you can get the barrier to entry is low, and I know that the applications function, and they built like Chrome OS. Even though it is a little limited, they built a good system to do what it wants to do. Like, you can do the simple things. You can do the things that it's like half the time I talk to somebody on the phone, because I do tech support for consumers. Yeah. I talk to somebody on the phone. They're like, I just got this so I can watch Netflix and do Facebook and stuff. And like the Chromebook is a perfect entry for that, because they can watch your Netflix and it can do that. So
they got a MacBook for that?
No. I mean, they have iPads, so
iPads. Okay.
The new iPad.
That makes sense.
The new iPad has a really good price point.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I thought for some reason when you mentioned that, I was thinking they're getting a MacBook for that. I'm like, what?
No, if they had a kid's MacBook Air, I would own like 2 or 3 of those things just for me. I don't care. I don't do. I do my gaming on console. I don't need a heavy rig anymore. Those days are behind me.
I've got my laptop. You've seen, like, I bring it when we have to do the show, or sometimes I bring it when I'm doing the show in Texas. I bring it to do editing when I'm on the go. But I don't game on it that much. I want to game a little bit more, because Whitney and I used to play like Knights of the Old Republic and the Old Republic. We used to play the Old Republic and other games, like Netflix playing, and we'd like be on our playing some MMOs. We do that every now and then. But I don't use it that much, and lugging it around, it's a kind of heavy laptop. So I got the Chromebook for $170. And I use that thing all the time, because what am I doing on that? I'm writing, I'm paying bills, surfing the net.
How's the battery life?
Battery life, I think it's around 11 or 12 hours.
So awesome.
It's insane.
The stuff I love.
Dude, it's insane. So I go days without charging it, and then when the days that I do, like sometimes I'll have it on like all freaking day, and then I'm like, oh, I'm at like 25% because it was on all day. But yeah, I mean, I've gone 2 or 3, 4 days without charging. I'll pull it up. It's immediately ready to go, because it's basically a tablet with a built-in keyboard, so it's ready to go. Solid state drive. I start doing my thing. I close the laptop, and I'm good to go. When it comes to my Dell or anything like that, I open it up and I gotta wait like 45 seconds.
Question as it relates to our news topic here: does it have Bluetooth?
Does it have Bluetooth? It does have Bluetooth.
So now imagine that when Stadia fails, or even if Stadia doesn't fail, and I'm not rooting for it to fail, as everybody should know by now, me and Patrick both bought Stadia from the beginning. But when Stadia fails, or even if it doesn't, imagine xCloud on your Chromebook, because all you need, your barrier to entry into xCloud, I read on the requirements for the iOS thing, you have to have a compatible iOS device, obviously, but then all you need is your Bluetooth capable Xbox controller, and you're good to go. So imagine with your Chromebook, you take that, and you're like, I want to play some Xbox Game Pass, and I got my Xbox controller right here. Dope.
Yeah. The only problem, because I was about to say, like, dude, I could just pack that up in a backpack and like when I'm traveling, but hotel Wi-Fi sucks so bad that it's not going to work. So.
Sure. No, it would probably have to be in like specific circumstances, or it can just be something similar to what I was doing, where I was pleasantly surprised. So I bought this. Because I really wanted to just test out PS4 Remote Play. Yep. You can see my custom sticks there. This is my launch PlayStation 4 controller, where they had the bad sticks that rubbed off, so I replaced them. So I bought.
Dude, that thing still works even with the.
Yeah, the battery is not so good, but other than that, she works just fine. So I mounted this. She was playing Ring Fit Adventure, and I was just playing Horizon on my little phone mounted with
cool.
PS4 remote play. So I was on my local network, obviously, and I have a good network.
Yeah.
Playing Horizon. So you could do something similar with your xCloud and so on, where it's like, hey, you know, your wife wants to watch the big TV, but you're like, man, I want to play some Outer Worlds or whatever it is. I want to play some Baldur's Gate. And you just get your little phone mount or your Chromebook out and just put that on your lap, and you're good. Man, the future, dude.
It's crazy how I could go on like I had
we've got lots of rants.
We've got lots of rants just today, but everything now is so application driven when it comes to what we do, subscription driven and application driven, and that is changing the game when it comes to how things are being sold. One of the I think it was last week or the week before with Xbox saying, I think it was last week, Xbox was saying like, oh, we don't really, we're not really competing with Nintendo and PlayStation. And that's the reason, because Microsoft is looking at it saying, we are making so much money, in every aspect of Microsoft is making money on subscription services or on software as a service. And doing that with video games is the next thing, because essentially you're talking about more people paying you small amounts of money and exponentially growing that number of people, which is what puts Amazon and Walmart and those companies as the giants that they are. It's not because they're making huge profit margins. They make a tiny profit margin and everyone goes there, or almost everybody. And that could be a big thing when it comes to Xbox. And people are saying, oh, it's no longer about the exclusives. I think it also is about the exclusives, but at the same time, there's a lot of people who, if it's convenient enough, like the Switch has proven to us, if it's convenient enough, people will say, okay, well, I know this isn't the best graphics. I know that we've got the people who are PC master race, that's fine. But the people who are console gamers who are like, you know what, this isn't the best graphics, but it runs well, and it's fun, and I can take it wherever I am. And that's why the Switch has sold so many copies. That's why the Switch outsold the Xbox, is for that reason.
Well, and there's literally just like we've stressed from the beginning, is just there's a convenience factor to it. There's a thing where like I don't have to take over my TV. I don't have to be specifically in that room. Even if we're talking about at home, I can literally bust out my little controller mount, which I now just leave this one attached because I can charge it through the mount and everything, and I don't use it for my PlayStation anymore. I just leave it attached, and it's like anytime that she's using the TV and I don't want to be like, hey, can I have the TV? I can literally just get on there, and I can do a similar thing with the Switch, and that's why the Switch was so awesome, is that I just take it out of the dock and I just play it.
Yeah.
And now with xCloud, it's going to be something similar. I understand. I wasn't here last week to talk about that. I understand where Phil was coming from, and that's what he's saying. I think he's being... I think he's avoiding it by saying they're not, because you wouldn't buy all these studios if you weren't competing with PlayStation and Nintendo. You would care more about just getting third-party support, because they don't even as the numbers that we described, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago now, have shown. They doubled their Xbox Game Pass usership, subscribers. There we go. Subscribers. They doubled their subscribers in 1 quarter.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if they have first party games, and I think that there's a thing where it now doesn't matter necessarily if their first party fails. It's if Game Pass continues to grow and then xCloud is successful. I think that they have a juggernaut there for where literally they just have to get third-party support. They just have to make contracts with all these third-party companies and say, hey, we're going to give you money to stream this game for $9.99.
Yeah.
Are you in? Cool. We got you. There's going to be millions of people playing your game. Have fun.
So many people. And that's the reason why Steam has been so successful for that. And companies putting their games on Steam and making that small amount of profit, but knowing that it's in an ecosystem that people will jump on and that it's a good price point. But speaking of juggernauts and things that just for some reason won't die, Anthem. So BioWare coming out with a recent update, or I should say they
updated. Yeah. Anthem update.
Yeah, it was the Anthem update. So I do find it. I need to jump back into Anthem just to try it out. I played it. It was not a bad game, but it does not have a lot of replayability. It didn't have a lot of lasting power. It was a lot of rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. The combat was repetitive. The story was boring, but it was fun flying around. I'll give them that. I do like that they're saying, hey, you know, we're working on this. We're going to we're going to improve it. But I do find it funny. They're basically saying we're working on the fundamentals.
Yeah. So for those who don't know what we're talking about, they released a blog update. It's available on BioWare's Twitter. That it crashed because so many game journals and everything were reading it whenever it came out. So basically what Patrick alluded to there, they acknowledged that, hey, a lot of people bought this game, I believe, and don't quote me on this because I forgot to pull up the NPD numbers, but I believe it was the number 10 best-selling game of 2019.
Something like that. Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. I know it's in the top 20 though. So we're talking about a game that is not good, that was in the top 10, that was bought basically on merit. The fact that everybody likes BioWare after Andromeda even was got like slaughtered. Everybody bought this game. They said, we're going to focus on fundamental gameplay. And while that's cool, what were you focusing on before?
Yeah.
Like, you know, but I also understand this game was rushed. Like, we saw this at E3. At E3, they showed this demo that was kind of empty. I still, you know, I remember me and Patrick still thought, like, okay, hey, it's BioWare. They're not going to let us down. They're not going to mess this up. They did. They messed it up colossally. I don't know that they're ever going to recover. I'm not rooting. This is, not, again, one of those situations where I'm not rooting for them to fail.
Sure.
I just don't know. I don't know. At some point, you have to say, like, hey, we just made a bad game. We're going to go focus on Dragon Age 4.
That's exactly
which is what you really want.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's exactly what they need to do. I think they need to take a break. They are taking a break when it comes to Mass Effect. Yeah. Mass Effect is a great series, but Dragon Age should be something to dive back into at this point. You were spot on, by the way. They were number 10. Real quick, surprise on the number 5, but 4 is Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
3 is Madden.
Yeah.
2 is NBA 2K. I did not think that NBA 2K was going to beat Madden, but it did.
Top 3.
Yep. And then Call of Duty Modern Warfare is number 1.
For sure.
Any guess on what number 5 is?
It's not Grand Theft Auto.
No?
Because I think Grand Theft Auto finally fell out of the top 10.
It did.
I want to say it's probably like 11 or 12. Number 5. Resident Evil?
No.
That's only like 7 million.
Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah,
Wow. I had no idea there were that many people buying it.
That's crazy. That was an early game too.
It beat Kingdom Hearts. That was number 6. Beat Kingdom Hearts. It beat Super Smash, which
Kingdom Hearts should not have been in the top 6 games. All right. Anyways.
Okay. If it was good, it should have been up there. But it was 11.
That's what but then again, Anthem was number 10, and it's not good either.
Proving you don't have to make a good product for people to go buy it.
Oh no.
Yeah, we're not going to trash DC on here. We'll talk about DC later, by the way. But I really want to see Birds of Prey because a lot of people.
I heard it's good.
I heard it was good. Some people were trashing it. And the only negative thing that I've heard about it was that that people were saying they should have just called it Harley Quinn, and then. Then I don't know if you saw.
Is it Margot Robbie again?
It's Margot Robbie. Yeah,
okay.
It's Margot Robbie. So it's Harley. It's Birds of Prey and the Emancipation of Harley Quinn. But some of the theaters have changed their marquee to now say Harley Quinn : Birds of Prey.
That's weird.
Which is
the movie called Birds of Prey?
It's called Birds of Prey. So. I think it's really weird. I've never seen a movie that changed in theaters a title. I know that there are movies that changed. Obviously, Cats recently did an update to it. Little known fact: The Shining had an ending that was in theaters that wasn't in the later theatrical release. I think for a week it had a different ending, and then it got changed. And there are other movies that were changed in regards to editing. I don't know of any others that had a title change though.
Sorry, I was laughing when you said The Shining. I was thinking of like the episode of Friends where Joey like spoils the end of The Shining. No, all blank and no blank makes blank a blank blank.
No, when Now, my favorite part about it, I mean, obviously him putting it in the book in the freezer is hilarious. But when she spoils Little Women for Joey, that was just remarkable. It was some great stuff in Friends.
Anyways,
some good stuff.
Some absolutely great stuff in Friends. We could do Friends and review someday.
We totally could. Since we're talking about DC, though, let's go ahead and jump to this. This happened today.
Go on.
We got a Batman suit screen test, which, by the way, this is very dark. I apologize. I'm trying to lighten it up a little bit, but the whole thing is dark and blurry purposely. But we got a bat symbol. We got a cowl.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because I think he looks amazing.
I think the suit looks better than the cowl. I think the mask, and I'm not being too critical because I think that there's room for it to change.
Sure.
And I think there's probably some room for like post to work on it, But
yeah,
the cowl looked a little. It doesn't look like it fits his face exactly, but the suit looks dope. Like
yes, it does.
The armor pieces of it, where he kind of does this like shoulder thing where you see that shoulder plate move, and
right
that
there.
looked awesome.
Yeah.
So the way that the suit is fitting on him looks so cool.
I think his profile looks awesome too. Like this shot here, when like he moves his head up just a little bit and you get a little bit more lighting on there, that looks like an amazing profile for Batman.
Yeah, I like how it's a weird thing to like, cause as a straight guy I understand, but like his jawline there looks really good. Like that whole like neck down, or even like chin down looks pretty awesome. It's that I think really about the cowl. Now that I'm like sitting here and staring at it, I think it's the nose. I don't like that nose.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, obviously, they're filming this right now, by the way.
Yeah.
They're filming right now, so they still have some room for improvement. But at the same time, we're getting a very dark shot of it. Hopefully, that's what we get in the movie as well.
I'm not being critical at all.
No, like, I think it looks great, and I think he definitely looks like a better Batman than Ben Affleck. And I will say, I crapped on Ben Affleck when he got announced. I don't think he was that bad of a Batman. It was a bad movie.
I don't think he looks better than Batman. I think the Batman that Ben Affleck was playing was that Nightfall looking Batman, where Batman is just like hulked out. Yeah. I think that's the Batman Ben Affleck was playing. So I have a hard time saying he looked bad. He played a bad Batman because they made him a bad Batman.
Yes,
the writing on that Batman was god awful. I like this younger looking take. At very first glance, I was like, man, he looks a little small, but then it grew on me a little bit because I was like, he's also like supposed to be playing beginning Batman, and I can see that as well. And after Ben Affleck, where Ben Affleck went big, like there's also just a different size factor.
I think we're going to see a lot of speed in what he delivers. I mean, Ben Affleck, like you said, he was jacked. He's bulky. He didn't move as sleek in regards to his combat. So I think we're going to see something different there. I think we're going to see something more along the lines of the Christian Bale movements, or except even more than Christian Bale. But we're going to see something more like that.
The villain in this movie is Penguin, or is it?
So I know that Andy Serkis is playing Alfred.
Okay.
And I think Colin what's his name? Colin Farrell?
Firth?
No, Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell, okay.
Yeah, Colin Firth's the guy from Love Actually, right?
Firth, and the King's Speech.
Yeah, Colin Farrell is in this, and the rumor is that he's playing Penguin. I don't think they've announced
he's
it.
Not short though. That's weird.
No, he's not. Apparently,
let's say you have to get a short guy to play Penguin.
No. Well, apparently the rumor was Josh Gad was going to be Penguin, and he wanted equal pay to what Robert Pattinson was getting paid.
Okay.
Get out.
I'm not saying that Robert Pattinson deserves a ton of money, but he's playing the Batman. You're not going to get paid unlike Batman and Robin, where the highest paid actor was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. But whenever you think about it, it's George Clooney. Like,
Yeah.
that was a weird thing that they paid Arnold $50 million for
Yeah.
that, man. Anyways.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane. But the only, I mean, I'm actually really excited about this movie. The only thing that I think is weird is that, I mean, I don't mind it, but the title, The Batman, for some reason, every time I see it, I think of someone's grandfather asking them, "Are you seeing the Batman movie?" Like that kind of like.
Are you playing games on the Nintendo?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think of every single time. Like I'm thinking of all my family members that, that, oh, he really likes the Spider-Man, and I'm like, oh, don't say the.
That thing from Arrested Development where she like hands the money to Anyang and she's like, go see a Star War.
Yes, exactly. That's what I think. I get what they're trying to do with it, where they're like, it's the Batman, like he is the Batman. Like I get it.
That's what they call him all the time.
It is like, or especially when it comes to early days. I think that may be part of it, where like the very beginning. I'm sorry, but Michael Keaton's like my favorite on-screen Batman and Bruce Wayne he's my favorite. But like the very beginning when they're talking about like the rumors of like there's a Batman, like what are you talking, like that kind of idea of it just being like these rumors of people hearing stories. And the first year or two, that's what you're gonna get. He's not doing PR. People just find out eventually what he's doing. So
I was just looking at the cast list.
Yeah.
Zoe Kravitz is Selena Kyle. All right.
Yeah, I'm totally down for that too. But what do you think? Who do you think was your favorite Batman on screen?
Batman or Bruce?
See, that's a great question. Let's go Bruce first.
I mean, Bruce, I really think Christian Bale did a great job of that contrast, because I mean Christian Bale's an amazing actor, so he was really able to turn it on. Of playing that, like he was obviously like a little like depressed and stuff, but I really think he did a great job of Bruce. I think he did a good job of Batman too, but his like voice was just a little grating. I don't know. It's probably a recency bias. I would probably pick him for both. I really like 89 Batman. It's just there's a certain like you can tell. I don't know. Hokiness is probably like that's probably the right word, but like I just don't know that I completely dug that. Even though I grew up with it, it was just a thing where I kind of like evolved out of it. I don't know why. I would probably go Christian Bale. It's a thing where like there's a much bigger debate on like Jokers.
No, 100%. I think Christian Bale's a good choice for Bruce Wayne because he's the playboy, but he has some scenes where where you see Bruce who's not the playboy, but he doesn't have the mask on. You see who Bruce really is, as opposed to the billionaire playboy persona. And I will say that I think Val Kilmer did a decent job of that as well. And I don't think that I thought he was
Val Kilmer did Batman. A great Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, he was a great Bruce Wayne because you feel you had some depth to him, where I will say that if you just took the scenes where he's playing Bruce Wayne, George Clooney isn't bad as just Bruce Wayne pretending to be a billionaire, but as soon as it comes to anything other than that, there's no depth to that character. He is a shallow pool. Keaton did some nice darkness that I liked, but whenever I see him, I don't think that other people would look at him and look up to him. I would think that people would just go, that guy's kind of weird.
He's a pretty short guy, isn't he?
He is a short guy, yeah. I think he's like 5'8".
Christian Bale's not that tall either, but every time I think about Michael Keaton as Batman, I also just think about his size and the fact that he's just not a big dude.
Yeah, he's 5'9". He's 5'9".
I think of Batman, like, and I don't know how tall Christian Bale is, but like I think of
6 feet.
Okay. I mean, so there's at least a little bit more height there. And let's see what we have on Robert Pattinson.
And interesting thing, I'm sure you knew this, but Tom Hardy's shorter than Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Because Tom Hardy's like 5'10", so he was wearing some big boots to try to like give him some height. That was not a good idea to have that version of Bane or anything with that.
Pattinson 6'1".
Okay.
And then Ben Affleck's a big dude. So
I think he's 6'2", isn't he?
I think Ben Affleck was a terrible Bruce Wayne, but he was playing a different Bruce. Like, I hated.
Ben's
I don't
6'4".
like anything about that stuff.
Dude, Ben's 6'4". Okay, so like that makes sense. But like the other thing is, whoever he's going up against, he needs to look at, depending on the character, he needs to still have a big presence against the average person. Until you bring in characters like Bane and Killer Croc and others, Batman should be intimidating to those to the Riddler, to obviously Penguin or anything like that. Like I said, until you bring in characters who are beefy like that. Yeah.
Man.
Anyways,
I was thinking about Batman and Robin, and I was thinking about things that are being put out to die.
Yeah.
And then that led me to E3.
Yeah. E3's and Jeff Keighley now announcing that he is not going to be I didn't realize for the past 20, like, this is the first time in 25 years.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he is gone. Yeah. And I will say, thankfully, and I won't read this off to everybody, but like Jeff Keighley's leaving, or he's not going to be at E3 2020. He didn't say forever, but this is the sign of the times. Jeff Keighley and what he's doing with the Game Awards has proven you don't need E3. He's doing what he wants to do, and in some cases, yes, he's biased to some certain developers and everything, but E3's dead. Just let it die.
For those who don't know, Jeff Keighley, other than the Game Awards, Jeff Keighley is the most inside of the inside man. We're talking about a dude who literally, like, anytime that you hear about him on, like, another podcast you listen to it or any news outlet, he is the guy that knows everyone. He knows every single person virtually. Like, he's just that tagged in. And so for him to say he's not at E3... and for those who don't know, he also ran the week prior to E3, which was called Judges Week, which is where they just bring in, like, E3 was already supposed to be like a business like show for a long time, but they would do a thing where they would just bring in critics. So they would bring in the writers of all these video game websites and everything a week before to give them a little preview, a little taste of some of the games that they were going to be seeing. And it was kind of a thing where, like, it was only open to, like, badged people who were, like, licensed isn't the word I'm looking for, but they're critics, they're game writers and everything, journalists, there we go. And he's not doing that either. So he opened up a little, not an AMA necessarily, but like he, in the comments of this post that he put, he was like, ask me things, I'll talk to you about it. Somebody was like, is this because the ESA, who runs E3, is this because the ESA doxed all the journalists last year? And I believe we talked about that last year when it happened. And he was like, a lot of factors went into my decision. So he didn't say no. He's a non-politic guy, so he's not going to completely say yes. They were like, are you going to do something else? And he's like, yeah, something else is going to happen. The week before, there's going to be some kind of thing. It's just not going to be Judges Week.
Sounds like he's going to do his own thing, which is fine. He's proven that he can do that. And by tapped in, you're talking about how tapped he is, and he is with it. I've also liked, he seems like, because he so genuinely enjoys the industry. He is a fan just like we are, and it's not quite Jimmy Kimmel levels of like fanboying, but you can see the general excitement that he has. He's tapped in because he loves the industry, because he loves gaming, and he's not doing it to try to be pompous. That's what I love about Jeff Keighley. He will name drop people, but he's not doing it for notoriety.
He loves them.
He loves them, and he happens to know them. He happens to talk to them frequently. And the memes and everything with him and Hideo Kojima recently, or I guess the past year, have been funny and everything, but he's been tapped in, and he may have not had that kind of connection as deeply or fanboying as overtly, but he's tapped in and enjoys the industry in a way that I think the only person I could think of that was close to that was watching Adam Sessler back in the G4 days, where you're watching a guy like he is that into gaming and he knows what he's talking about.
I think the only other person that I could say he's not on his level, but is somebody who's like, is Greg Miller. Just from another positive standpoint, he's a voice of positivity and everything, and is is somebody that really it does just have a passion for games. His is a little bit more centered, like is more generally specific to like PlayStation.
Yeah.
But him not being an E3 is big. I think, unfortunately, because anybody who listens to this podcast knows how much me and Patrick both love E3. Unfortunately, I think this is signaling a really bad turn. I think it was already taking a bad turn when Sony is now taking a second year off. But literally the biggest name in the journalism industry of games is not going to be there. I don't like it. I don't like the way this is going. He mentioned some other things on there where he's like, I know E3 means so much to so many people, but they need to evolve. They need to embrace the digital age, which I think there's a definite truth to that. And he brings that whenever he does the Game Awards, and he literally talks. He like Patrick mentioned, he's not boasting whenever he's talking about the Game Awards. He's literally saying, I want to bring this to as many people as possible. So he'll throw out those numbers. He's like, we're in this many countries right now. We're streaming on Twitch. We're on Mixer. We're on YouTube. Like, he's literally saying, like, hey, wherever you want to watch the Game Awards, you can. And I think he wants a similar thing for E3. I'm wondering if somebody can ever just buy the E3 brand out from the ESA, because the ESA is going to kill E3 because they just don't get it. Yeah,
I would love for someone to buy it and for it to be a positive, because to me, E3 historically has been a wonderful, positive time for gaming, for launches to talk about gaming, to have the concentration similar to the, we talk about like it being the Super Bowl of gaming, but you have that concentration of developers and enthusiasts all together, where throughout the year you have that stretched. We have PAX East, we have all these other conferences, but E3 is like almost like all the stars aligning. And you have all of anyone who is important would be at E3. If you're going to have a big launch, you're going to talk about it at E3. And I miss that. I miss that I don't care. I do not care if it's physically located somewhere. But if they had some type of virtual version of this where you rent out a studio to have some people talk about it, and then have a Nintendo and a Sony like presentation digitally, kind of like Nintendo does, and then have them talk about it and do some Q&As, I'd be fine with that. You don't have to rent out a big convention center or anything like that like they do now. Save the money, stream it, and we will watch it. We will watch an entire week of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that it happens. I really do. If he's going to be and who knows, if there's somebody that can champion this thing, it's this guy. I don't think he has the kind of money to buy it, but he has the kind of clout to run it.
Yeah, I think it'd be amazing.
And I'm completely okay with that. Especially imagine it being something that like led into the Game Awards. So like having. I don't like that it would be in December, so he would probably have to do two separate things. But imagine that it was something that led up into the Game Awards, where it was like a week of like game previews for like 2021. Yeah. And then ending it with the games of the year and all that stuff for 2020. Like that kind of thing would be
I would
cool.
like for it to be like early November, where you're like, hey, we're going into holiday season, or holiday season's upon us, or whatever. Let's talk about next year. Let's talk about next year of gaming. Like, because having it around too close to the holidays is tough for people to get away from what they're doing, to get away from life. We all have people that we're seeing around that time, or maybe we're just maybe some people just do want to hide away, but a lot of people are usually busy during that time. So doing it early November, I think it'd be fine, because you're looking towards the next year, and then you can in early November be like, hey, guess what? This comes out January. What? It'd be cool.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah. You know what? Also, some people don't think politics and gaming is cool, and I don't mind. I don't care. I think anything I've said it before. Art is art if it evokes emotion, whatever it is. But recent, sorry, kind of jumped. Did I jump ahead? Nah, I didn't.
Only two things left.
Yeah. Tim Sweeney was essentially saying he wanted politics out of gaming, and then started kind of backpedaling.
Yeah, he didn't say out of gaming. He said out of game companies.
out of game companies, and then kind of started to clarify and said, well, he's talking more about marketing, because he did clarify to say that games, just like any other art, like it needs to be provocative. He mentioned To Kill a Mockingbird. There's a lot of there's, you know, obviously literary and film pieces that have propelled us as a society or shone a light on something that was a darkness within our world, but it allowed people to better understand what other people are going through. And I think gaming can do that as well. And I understand where he was coming from, saying stay out of it when it comes to the marketing. But I will say, like The Last of Us, the reason I picked this, by the way, was throughout The Last of Us and then the DLC, I never heard anyone critiquing Ellie and her relationships and her sexuality. I never heard anyone critiquing it until the Last of Us 2 trailer. And then people started critiquing it as if it was a new thing. And to me, that's
people didn't play the DLC
because they didn't play the DLC and they didn't understand her character. And to me, it wasn't a big deal. That's just part of her character. And obviously inclusion is important anyways, but people were trying to make it political. The Last of Us is a great game that has not gotten political in regards to any statements, in regards to any marketing. It just happens to have a character who is a lesbian or bi or whatever she wants to identify herself as. It just happens to be part of her character. And we need that type of normalcy in games and in film and everything. But in regards to marketing, I do kind of agree, because I feel like in a marketing standpoint, you're trying to push it as if it's not that it would be an agenda, but you're trying to cram it down people's throats, kind of like the new Wonder Woman trailer, right? Or the Captain Marvel the entire movie, where it's like you don't have to. Or Batwoman. Batwoman's a great example of this, with her saying lines like the suit is perfect if it would fit a woman. And I'm like, no, if it fits you, like, don't make it about a woman. Like, one of the best action heroes, Ripley, is a female, and she never like tells people that she's better because she's a woman. She just happens to be a woman. And I think that's what's important when it comes to good characters. You write a good character, and they happen to be whatever they are. I'm going to go on obviously a rant about this. You have stuff to say as well, but I think that marketing can seem one-sided when really it's a multifaceted issue.
Yeah, and so by the way, he mentioned Tim Sweeney. Just in case you don't know who Tim Sweeney is, he's the CEO of Epic Games and the founder of Epic Games, and he was speaking at the DICE Summit. Which DICE is another industry thing. There's a DICE Awards also that comes. I can't remember if the DICE Awards have already happened or not. At first, I didn't think that I liked what he said. I was like, it's good talk, bud. There's one thing that I definitely still don't think that he addressed in his own self, and that's the fact that Epic Games took a buttload of money from a big old company called Tencent.
Yep.
Which, for those who don't know who Tencent is, it's a giant Chinese company that isn't necessarily shady or anything, but, you know, whenever you are a big company in the country of China, you generally have a certain political affiliation.
You have to have a political affiliation with that, yeah.
So I think that there's some criticism that's warranted there. He had to actually come out and defend himself a little bit, because people again just kind of misunderstood what he was saying. So he was talking about To Kill a Mockingbird, and he was like, just as Patrick mentioned, where he's like, the book just wrote it. The Harper Lee.
Yep, Harper Lee.
Yeah, sweet. Harper Lee wrote it, and it turns out that is Harper Lee the one that we like found out bad things about later, or is that a different book that I'm thinking of?
Not that I know of. You think of Ayn Rand?
It could be. I don't know. Anyways, there was like one author that like wrote a book, and then it turned out that author was like really racist or something.
J.K. Rowling?
No, that's a different story. J.K. Rowling's got some own issues too. She's really. Anyways, yeah. So To Kill a Mockingbird wrote it, and there was definitely political stuff in the book, but it was just written. It was a part of the story. And what he was saying is like, whenever you're playing a video game is going to have elements to it. There's games that are obviously alluding to things, and like Far Cry 5 came to mind, where there was a religious cult type experience, and like the game was very popular, even though it turned out in my opinion not to be that good, but it was very popular and sold very well because it happened to coincide right around when the president of the United States was beginning his term, and there was a definitely bad feeling towards the right in the United States, especially. That game was definitely trying to be political. However, what he's speaking to is that you shouldn't have a marketing company. You shouldn't have the marketing of it. You shouldn't even necessarily have the game company trying to tell you their political beliefs. This should just show through the art.
Sure.
And you're going to have, and I think that this is a problem that we run into just as employees, period. I work for a giant company. I'm pretty sure you work for a pretty
large
sized company, where we have me and you don't necessarily have very different political beliefs, although I think they differ a little bit. But you can be working with so many different people, and they think very differently, and sometimes that can be bad, depending on how that company lets that happen. If everybody doesn't talk about it, which is the way that it should be, honestly. If everybody doesn't really hint like, hey, I voted for this guy and I voted for that guy, like, then you're not generally going to have a problem. I think it's a similar thing of like, you shouldn't have a marketing company throwing it in your face like, hey, you need to accept Ellie because she's this. Yeah. Like, no, you should just play the game and see that Ellie's an awesomely written character and a very well acted character by Ashley Johnson, who does a kick-A job as Ellie. You should love Joel and love Nolan.
Yeah, I think I can't remember.
Yeah. And love his acting. You shouldn't think of Joel as a guy who like potentially ruined the world, or is a part of this ruining the world. You shouldn't think of Ellie as just she's not, just her sexual preference, and it shouldn't just be something that's like thrown out there. But at the same time, I understand where some people have I understand where that comes from. Yeah. I'm not trying to spin it that way, but I'm trying to say like, he's saying like, you shouldn't just have a marketing company telling you like, this is what you need to think. You should be able to play something and have it evoke your own feelings and have your own exploration and your own discussion with it and how that affects you. Yeah. And you should be able to do that naturally versus having a company spin it for you.
Yeah, it should come through with the art, which I don't know if you watch the Academy Awards. You don't watch them, right?
I stopped.
So I got
tired of it.
Like it was a great year for that, but one of the best animated short, I'm trying to remember the name of it now. It was an amazing
sad,
short,
right?
A little bit, but not really. Hair Love.
Right, not super sad. Okay.
There's some parts that were emotional, and you got a little sad and everything, but it was a great emotional story. And had resonance, obviously, with the Black community, even more so with me. But things like that, and like the movie,
even more so.
What's that?
I don't know about it resonated with you even more. So.
No. It resonated with other people more than me. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I have no hair. Resonated with. No, I'm saying it resonated with Black people more than it did with me.
Okay.
But at the same time, showing these types of things, like I don't know if you saw the documentary Good Hair.
I did. I love it.
So it's a great documentary, and like those types of things, like showing us these types of things, and people who may or may not have been part of the culture or are understanding those different things about society, I think is great. That was Hair Love is a great non-political cartoon, but where they could have made it about politics. They did it a little bit in their acceptance speech. But the art itself was not about politics. The art itself was about this family and this father helping to, it's a beautiful, between that and the
Kit Bull. To it.
Kit Bull. Well, I mean, I don't think there were any political undertones to it, other than the fact that that he was having to do her hair. Not to spoil anything, the mom is in the hospital. I guess it spoils it a little bit, but he's doing the kid's hair because the kid can't do her hair by herself, and it is. I work for the YMCA, and like I would braid the kids' hairs, and they would braid my hair because I had like long hair during that time, and I could never get any of the black girls' hair. Like I couldn't do it. Like it was so different to me. So watching him like struggle with her hair, I was like, and Robert was commenting about like, you know, how much it hit home for him too. I'm glad it hit. I'm glad it won, and there were political undertones, not to it, but in regards to what they've said about it. But really, it's all about inclusion. It's about it's about making that normal. Just like Ellie making her, like, she's, you know, okay, she kissed a girl, okay, like that's not a big deal. It's making it part of normal life and getting representation for other people to see that these are things that are normal and they're wonderful. So let me get off my soapbox.
Cute Katy Perry song. I kissed a girl.
Exactly. Kit Bull was also very good, by the way.
I remember that one.
Yeah, that one made me a little sad.
Yes, it did, with good reason. So I think that he got a lot of flack, and I think that there's some things that he definitely should get some flack for, just because his company does take a lot of money from a very questionable source. There's something to that, but at the same time, I think that there's a message there that more people need to start to embrace, especially in internet culture, is that I think that it's super easy, and I'm somebody, if anybody out there that listens to this podcast that follows me personally, I'm somebody who loves to argue on the internet in his bored time about political things. It's a thing that I just enjoy doing. I like needling. I like poking. Yeah. I like to throw those little comments out there that are like, hey, but my overall stance is just that it's so ridiculous. There's such an outrage culture that jumps on every little thing that happens, and the cancel culture that comes with it. And I think that there's a message to be heard there, where in video games, like, we don't need our game companies contributing to that toxicity.
Yeah, no, I agree. And actually, speaking of cancel culture and the awards, I want to get the the actor's name on here. I don't know if you heard about, but people were talking about Shia LaBeouf, and he presented with his co-star.
Oh, his dad movie, right?
No, Peanut Butter Falcon.
The movie about his dad.
Is that about his dad? I haven't seen it yet.
It's a pretty autobiographical movie.
Okay, I don't know if that was this one, because the star of the movie. No, it can't be that, because the star of this. I haven't seen it yet. The star of the movie and the main character is.
I'm thinking of Honey
has
Boy,
Down syndrome. Yeah,
I'm thinking of Honey Boy.
The main character has Down syndrome. The actor has Down syndrome, and he wants to be a professional wrestler. And
I'm thinking of Honey Boy. Okay,
so Shia was there with Zach, who's the actor, and people were essentially they mistook him laughing as him laughing at the actor, and I don't think they realized the two of them have a friendship. The two of them have acted in a movie together, that they actually have a relationship, and there were other people who were commenting and saying things like, no, look, he was helping. He helped Zach at one point to open the envelope. He didn't open the envelope for him, but he helped him because he saw he was a little struggling with one piece, and then he let him do the rest. And he was he laughed a little bit because he was kind of proud of the moment, and people were having a cancel Shia hashtag going around, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's essentially, again, normal, helping to show a person who has a disability who is excelling as an actor. Why would you try to cancel this person when he's hanging out with his friend essentially on stage? It's stupid.
Yeah, and obviously I didn't see it. I didn't hear about it. I pay as little attention to the Oscars as I can. I kind of got tired of actors acting like they can really tell us how we should feel. More political things that we don't
Sure.
need to go
It got a
into
little
the show.
political this year, yeah.
But in terms of the cancel, it's political every year. In terms of the cancel stuff, I agree. Like, without knowing what's going on, I bet that there's some outrage to it.
Yeah.
Just because, dude, Shai's been through some weird stuff,
Yeah.
and he's never ever seemed like a bad dude.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that's his thing. Anyways, yeah, I think that there's something to be said just about how we should act on
exactly.
the internet, and things that we should recognize where we, maybe we should relax a little bit, maybe just go play a little video game, just pop in your Horizon Zero Dawn, just jump around and
Maybe watch some Star Wars.
Kill some robot dinosaurs, or you could watch some Star Wars.
Yeah. So we're getting apparently a Rogue One prequel TV show. Maybe I didn't hear. Is it a series? Yeah, it's a series. Sorry,
I
Disney
believe
Plus
it's like
prequel series.
Yeah, it's a series. I think it's like a mini series.
So Cassian Andor, I'm completely fine with that. I've said for a while Rogue One is probably the better of the recent Star Wars movies. I don't mind that we're getting this. I would like. I'm glad that we're going to get things other than Jedi. I like Jedi, but I like the Star Wars world is deep enough that you can dig in, and as long as this has a different tone to Mandalorian, which I believe that it will, I think that it'll do well. Yeah,
the idea behind it is so he just popped up onto I think he had like an article in Entertainment Tonight or something. It says we're doing this year. I can't wait. It's really cool to tell a story where you already know the ending. So that's where I think it's a miniseries. So he's playing. This is Diego Luna. He plays Cassian Andor, he's the other lead actor in it. And the idea behind this show, I believe, is like to tell about the beginnings of the rebellion, which is also done through Star Wars Rebels. Which we still need to get Patrick to watch, but to have a live action like beginning to the rebellion, and which also probably means we get more Alan Tudyk as K2SO.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I think that's good. I think that's fun. I think I understand Mandalorian's getting a second season. We don't know how many seasons this show is going to get, but like he said, it's really cool to know where the ending already. We know how Rogue One plays out. We know what happens to Cassian already. It is really cool to have a series where, like, imagine that the finale is like right before the beginning of Rogue One. Like, imagine that's how they do it. I really like this direction that they're taking Star Wars. I like the idea of miniseries. I don't necessarily I still like Clone Wars, and I still like Rebels, and I like that they're like 4 or 5 seasons or 6 seasons or 7 seasons long. But I like this idea where we might just get something condensed. Like, if this Obi-Wan thing ever actually happens, it's supposed to be like a miniseries. Like, just imagine like kind of an extended movie in episodic things where we're getting like 6 hours of Star Wars that just tells this like concise story about a single character or a single characters. I think that's cool. I didn't even know they were doing this show until I saw this article pop up on my feed. So hey, cool.
Yeah, I didn't either. I'd heard Kathleen Kennedy and some others were describing it as Mandalorian spin-offs, which I was like, no, don't.
I think that's a bad idea.
That's a very bad idea. To do additional to call it a Mandalorian spinoff is a good marketing idea and a bad marketing idea. But in my opinion, I think that additional series are a great way to do this. We're gonna have the Obi-Wan series. We'll have this. I think that give me 6 or 8 hours of a good story and give me a nice story arc. I think it's gonna be great, and it's gonna show. Yeah, it's going to show. It shows how Star Wars, in a well-told story, as we've seen when it comes to the novels and everything, because the stories are adventures and they're fun, but the video games and the novels are where we really get to see some really nice story arcs, and I want to see that on the screen more. It's going to be.
I didn't list it in the document. So by the way, before I list this out, or before I mention what I'm about to mention, next week. We're going to do some news, but we're also going to cover episode 9, spoiler mode. We're going to do that live, so we'll put up a banner if you somehow haven't seen episode 9. So I made a little list in my head of some series I want to see. I want to see some Ahsoka Tano. I want to see some Plagueis. I want to see some Plagueis and Palpatine. I want to see how that relationship happens.
I would love that.
Super cool.
Yeah.
And then just anything Old Republic. If we talked about like a really small rumor of like a KOTOR type series happening, it doesn't necessarily have to be KOTOR, but just have something from what would probably be described as the golden age that we never saw. There was there's a golden age of this galaxy that we've never really seen. We hear them talk about it. We talk about the age of the Jedi and like that 1,000 years or however long it was. I can't remember right now. I would like a show that takes place somewhere during that. We can see maybe a younger Yoda, maybe like how he got into it. It doesn't have to focus around Yoda. I'm just saying he would obviously probably be there. I don't know how long he was like head of the Jedi Order, but I imagine it was quite a long time.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be old Republic. But I agree. I would love to see that. I'm going to be.
Was it 10,000 years and not 1,000 years?
I think it's 10,000 years.
Okay.
But either way, Yoda's 900.
I mean, that's what I was saying. He's 900.
Yeah, so he would have been like a baby, and as we know now, that he wouldn't have been mature until he was like 150 or so. Yeah. So I'd like to see those. I think I'd rather see a Plagueis and Palpatine than I would a Palpatine and Vader, because I think we've seen a lot of Palpatine Vader. I would rather see Palpatine Plagueis and a young Palpatine. Yeah. And I know it sucks to say this, but with a new actor, a young actor, showing his descent into darkness, I think it'd be really cool.
Because I don't think we know about who Plagueis is. Maybe we do. I know there's a Plagueis book that I haven't read, but Plagueis, as far as I know, was another political like person. So they both were playing the system that led to the rise, and then we know from episode 3 that Palpatine kills Plagueis, and he does that during episode 1. So we know that there's that in there. It doesn't necessarily have to get us up to episode 1, but maybe something like what got Palpatine into the Senator, what got Plagueis there, like how did Plagueis how did Palpatine get into the dark side? Like, there's so much there. Yeah. That would be cool, where you don't necessarily have to show everything evil about them, but like you can show like, was there a turn? Was Palpatine ever any kind of good? Like, was it from kid? Like, the sky's the limit on what you can do. And then just give me Ahsoka Tano. Like, just give me an Ahsoka miniseries. Show me what happened after she left the Jedi Order, leading up to where we find her with Rebels. There's a nice chunk of stuff there where she goes into an independent Force user and everything. Like, there's a lot of room there for story of somebody who's not a Jedi but is Force sensitive and is trained. I think that would be cool. Anyways, I'm down for just came up with that off the off my head. I don't know if there's any series you're looking for, but I'm getting more excited about the thought of more Star Wars series as opposed to movies. I still want the movies, but I kind of like this idea of just being able to consume it at home on Disney Plus. Yeah. I mean, I know I just talked about like there being more to it than lightsabers, but I would like something like showing like early Jedi training and like seeing someone who like is taken like the like middle school to early high school kind of age. Call it Padawans.
Yeah. I'd go for that.
I didn't mean to have thought.
No, like that'd be fine. Like, but I'd love to see that. God, actually, you know what? That show writes itself. That really writes itself. Like, showing a bunch of middle school to early high school kids, like a Sky High with Jedi, and not, super corny. Yeah, no, you got to show them you got to show the learning. You got to show the things that they do. The relationships with their master when they go to the planet to get their crystal. Yeah, we show some bullying, and they're like, "No, that's the way to the dark side." And that'd be really cool. I love it. No. All right. Anyways. Yeah, there's going to be some moments like that. Anyways, hope you guys had fun. We'll be back next week talking more Star Wars and gaming news. Let us know in the comments what you'd like to see in regards to future Star Wars series of any kind. TV series, comic books, whatever it is. We'll see you later. Okay, bye.